He would always talk to them about drugs or try to steer them away from things like that.
What are you guys doing down there?
But he was always looking at the good in them.
Is this really worth ruining your life for? You know what? Take this. You can help me clean the neighborhood up.
I'm not cleaning up your neighborhood, dog.
This is your neighborhood, too.
No, it's not.
He's the type of person that gives you the benefit of the doubt. And even if he does see wrong in you, Anthony was not the one to even bring it out like that. He's the nicest person you probably ever want to meet.
He drew people together. You know, he just didn't see the bad in people. He always saw the good in everyone.
Although Anthony stays on the right side of the law, trouble isn't far behind.
What's up, Panic Fam? I'm Hannah. And if it's 2 a.m., the lights are off and the popcorn has gone cold, you know, it's Panic TV time. Welcome. If you survived this, and this, congratulations, all right? Congratulations, but your luck runs out here.
Once upon a time, soldier Anthony Riggs and single mom Toni Cato fall head over heels in love.
He was overly excited. She had a little girl already, and they just went for it.
Their new family bond feels unbreakable.
It was all falling into place.
But soon, war and murder tear them apart.
How cold-hearted could a person be? It was just an evil thing.
We need more money. You couldn't let somebody get away with this.
I couldn't believe that. It was so unreal.
For this couple, the honeymoon is over.
Let me see your hands.
In his hometown of Las Vegas, Army Specialist Anthony Riggs and his soon-to-be bride, Toni Cato, prepare for their courtroom nuptials. Although they're just 20, the young couple is thrilled to come together as one.
Anthony, he was smiling. He was all excited. He was happy. Toni took that one deep breath, and I guess that was her sense of saying, finally, you know, I found Anthony.
He thought that he could really have a good life with her, make a good husband.
They want to be together forever. After all, it's not just Toni Anthony vows to love.
Mommy, I want to be in the picture too.
Toni had a little girl. Anthony wholeheartedly adored that little girl. He really did. He wanted to make sure that she had a stable environment, 2 parents, you know, and she had a childhood.
Finding love is particularly difficult for single mothers. She's trying to be the provider, the protector, the nurturer, the caregiver. So to have a guy not only fall in love with you, but also be able to take in your child and love your child must have felt fabulous.
After their Vegas wedding, the newlyweds plan to settle down at Fort Bliss in Texas before Anthony deploys to the Gulf War. Just over a year later, Anthony is home from the war. He is moving his family from Texas to Detroit, where Toni's family lives. In Detroit, they stay the night at a relative's house and pack a few items stored there. The couple will be ready to move into their new place when the sun comes up.
Anthony doesn't want to leave this loading van filled with their belongings on the street because they believed it might be stolen. So he went out to get something out of the vehicle, and his wife Toni was inside the house.
But at 2:15 a.m., their dream of a better life shatters.
Anthony! Anthony! Oh my God! Oh my God!
She discovered Anthony on the sidewalk near the driveway, and there was a lot of blood.
He was shot 5 times, and Anthony lay dying in the street.
How could her new husband survive the battlefield,
Courtney! Call 911! Anthony's been shot!
but be gunned down on her family's doorstep?
Stay with me.
Anthony Riggs grows up in Los Angeles, raised by his single mother and an older sister. Even as a young boy, his family knows he's something special.
Anthony just seemed like he was just a wise little man. Everybody thought that he was a genius. Everybody that met him.
But Anthony isn't just a smart kid. He also has a heart of gold. As he grows older, he develops a strong will to help those around him, especially when his friends turn towards drugs.
He would always talk to them about drugs or try to steer them away from things like that.
What are you guys doing down there?
But he was always looking at the good in them.
Is this really worth running your life for? You know what? Take this. You can help me clean the neighborhood up.
I'm not
I need some
cleaning
help
up your
here.
neighborhood, dog.
This is your neighborhood too.
No, it's not.
He's the type of person that gives you the benefit of the doubt. And even if he does see wrong in you, Anthony was not the one to even bring it out like that. He's the nicest person you probably ever want to meet.
He drew people together. You know, he just didn't see the bad in people. He always saw the good in everyone.
Although Anthony stays on the right side of the law, trouble isn't far behind. The LA neighborhood his family lives in is changing, and not for the better.
It wasn't the neighborhood that I would have wanted to grow up in. His mom did the very best she could to teach them the better things of life.
During Anthony's senior year in high school, his mother relocates the family to Las Vegas. She wants the best opportunities for her children. Anthony sees promise in himself too, and believes serving his country is what he is born to do.
He had it in his mind that he wanted to go into the service and do something good, so that's what he chose to do.
The military provides this sort of safe, boundaried structure where they can really blossom as individuals. And for Anthony, this would be a great place for him to truly surge ahead.
After completing basic training, Anthony gets stationed in Germany.
The furthest we've ever been was California, Louisiana, Las Vegas, you know? So for him to be going to Germany, I'm sure that was overly exciting for him.
Anthony was the kind of guy that everybody liked. He was the guy that was going to work his butt off and do whatever was necessary to get the job done.
Anthony's career thrives, but Army life can be lonely. Away from his friends and family, he hopes to soon meet someone special. Toni Cato lives amidst the concrete landscape of Detroit's inner city.
Growing up in Detroit can be very challenging. It is a tough place. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of friends that get involved in bad things. There's a lot of allure to get into things to make money. There's drugs. There's robbery. But a lot of kids make it.
Despite her surroundings, Toni has big dreams. She plans to pursue a higher education and make a difference in people's lives.
Toni Cato wanted to begin pursuing an advanced educational degree if she wanted to be a nurse.
She was ultimately a caregiver. She wanted to care for people at their most vulnerable hour of need.
But then Toni meets an Army soldier. They marry and have a baby girl. Before long, they're stationed in Germany. But the marriage doesn't last. Lucky for Toni, she has a new friend on the Army base with a soft spot for those in need.
Anthony had become a good friend of hers and more or less a shoulder to cry on with her problems.
Anytime someone hurt or was going through something,
We're getting separated.
What?
Anthony just felt it in his soul. He wanted to help solve whatever problem that they were going through.
Seemed like you were so happy
I
before.
know, it just kind of fell apart.
Sorry to hear that.
Thanks.
He had seen her misfortunes,
Well,
and he wanted her to have a better life. He was really kind of falling for her.
And not only is his love growing for Toni, he adores her daughter, too.
Look what we made. Why did you come? Come on.
Hey,
Sit up here.
pretty, come on.
He just took this little girl under his wing. He loved her. And that was a plus in his life because he loved children.
She took to Anthony like peanut butter and jelly, just jammed right away.
I think it was her little girl that really touched his heart. The letter that he sent me, that's all he talked about was her. And I think he really wanted to be the father.
But now, their future plans hang in the balance. Anthony's been shot and struggles to stay alive.
It's mind-boggling to imagine that here was Anthony, who heroically survived war zones, and now this has become his war zone at home?
Who would have done such a thing? As Detroit police descend upon the crime scene, everyone prays Anthony will survive. After marrying her dream soldier, Toni Riggs is living her worst nightmare. Someone shot her husband, Anthony, outside her family's home. EMTs rush Anthony to the hospital, but his injuries are grave. Soon, his young life slips away.
I got a call, and this nurse asked me if I knew Anthony Riggs, and I told her yes. So she says, he has been shot. I told the Lord, said, you said you'd never leave me. You'd never forsake me. I need you to hold me up. I could just see my babe on the ground. I could just see nobody there to hold him. Nobody.
At the scene, officers search for any evidence left behind. They quickly realize a key piece of the puzzle is missing.
We didn't know very much. The only thing that we knew was that it appeared as if it was a carjacking.
Apparently it was somebody who had shot Anthony several times and then stolen his car, which was also filled with belongings.
It seems senseless, but in this tough Detroit neighborhood, police have seen it all.
At that particular time, we were known as the murder capital of the world. Murder rate was about 650 murders per year. Rapes, robberies, carjackings were high.
Police wonder if Anthony's murder was a random act of violence. Or did he know his killer? When they talk to his wife, Toni, she can't think of anyone who would harm her kind-hearted soldier.
Everyone was at a loss. The police were at a loss. How frustrating for her family to have no leads, no clues. Who was Anthony's killer?
Police continue to move forward with the case, but for Anthony's loved ones, time stands still. Just 3 years earlier, it's a whirlwind romance for the happy couple as they fall head over heels for each other. With their first marriage over, Toni moves back to Detroit, while Anthony stays in Germany. Long distance isn't easy, but this couple is determined to make it work.
Hey! How are you?
They write love letters to keep the romance alive.
He was able to say, I'm all in this relationship. I may have a job abroad, but I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about coming home. I'm thinking about our future.
I don't think it's for you. I think it's for the little one.
He really wanted to have that family life once he came back from being overseas.
So cute. Oh, she's gonna love this.
Toni looks into nursing school as she waits for Anthony to return home. And just a few months later, he receives orders to serve at Fort Bliss in Texas. But first, he has a little surprise planned for Toni in Detroit.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Hey!
He wanted to make sure that Toni knew that she was #1 in his heart.
The loving couple spends the weekend together and makes plans for their future. While Anthony is stationed in Texas, Toni applies for a nursing internship in Las Vegas and stays with Anthony's mother. Even though his mom lives in a 1-bedroom apartment, she invites Toni and her daughter to move in.
How are you? You like it? How are you?
She just welcomed him, open arms, no questions asked. Just being supportive of Anthony and his decision to have Toni and her daughter be a part of his life on a consistent basis.
Ugh, I swear my neighbors think I'm probably getting murdered right now.
No problem.
With everything falling in line for Anthony and Toni, it seems nothing can stand in the way of true love.
Anthony believed that a foundation was being built.
And you got a kangaroo.
But just a year and a half later, that steadfast foundation has crumbled beneath their feet. And Detroit police feel the heat to find Anthony's killer.
It was a tragedy that went nationwide. You know, people wanted to know about it, and they wanted to know who did it. You've got this American soldier had successfully ventured overseas and defended our freedoms, only to come back to an American city and be killed. It was tragic.
All cases are important, obviously, but this particular case, because of the way that most people and the way that I felt about the troops had been over in Desert Storm, it was more like a family member. Like, I'm a veteran myself, and there was a little extra feeling involved in this particular case.
Neighbors tie yellow ribbons near Anthony's crime scene.
This is my city, and I pray that people get together to stop all of the confusion and the shooting and the killing in our city. I love Detroit.
And the community opens their doors to Toni and her daughter.
There was tons of sympathy for Toni Cato-𝐻𝐿𝐥𝐻. She was seen as a victim too. People felt terrible for her.
We had civic leaders visit her. Reverend Jesse Jackson was here.
Anthony, a 22-year-old who had just recently returned from the Persian Gulf, a war hero, gone down at home.
We had people from the NAACP. She was receiving a lot of support.
The community of Detroit reached out to Toni, wanting to take care of her, to show that Detroit wasn't all about murder, but there were good people there that wanted to help.
Here he was a soldier, and he was protecting all of us, and yet we couldn't protect him at home.
Although Toni is heartbroken, she's grateful for the support. As the mourners comfort Toni, an unexpected letter arrives.
Got a letter from Anthony.
Anthony?
Yeah.
He had sent it before his return from the Persian Gulf, writing about how he will never die in this country. He's going to survive this, and he'll be back home.
You survive all the fighting and the bombs and everything over there, and then you come on American soil, and you home, and you're actually killed where it's supposed to be safe for you. And that was really hard for me to take in.
Detroit Homicide is more determined than ever to get justice for Anthony. As detectives hunt for Anthony's missing car, finally they get the break they've been waiting for.
It was only a couple miles away, and all the stuff was still in it. That's a sign that something doesn't seem to be what it is here.
After the murder of war veteran Anthony Riggs, police are desperate to find his killer. But their carjacking motive is now in question.
If someone is going to carjack a car, usually they carjack the car for two reasons: to sell the car or to steal the items that's in a car. But when you recover a car and it's intact, it would make you think that it may have been homicide.
As the investigation goes in a new direction, the media frenzy over Anthony's death grows by the minute.
The media was overwhelming. Just cameras everywhere and microphones in your face, and that was pretty hard when you're going through something like this.
Detectives search through alleys and dumpsters near Anthony's abandoned car and unexpectedly turn up a key piece of evidence.
One of the patrol officers found a handgun in one of the garbage cans midway down the alley.
There are no fingerprints on the gun.
Ballistics tests showed that it was the gun used in the shooting.
But who pulled the trigger? And why kill Anthony just as life seemed to be starting anew? A year and a half earlier, Toni and her daughter settled into life in Las Vegas. And shortly after, Anthony flies home to visit. He's made an important decision. He wants to be with Toni and her little girl forever.
Anthony, he was excited. I can say he was kind of giddy during that time when we were talking and stuff. I think it was the daughter, him really wanting to be a father figure to her and build their relationship between not just Anthony and the daughter, but Anthony and Toni.
Will you marry me?
Oh my God, yes!
Anthony's family is surprised, but they understand his rush to make it official.
Anthony had just gotten his orders that he was about to be sent to Saudi Arabia. And he wanted to make sure that Toni would be able to handle whatever affairs came about in Anthony's absence.
I think that these two loved each other, had been waiting so long for each other. He knew he was going to be deployed again to Saudi Arabia. He wanted to make sure that their love was secure, that it was legally binding at this point. And so I understand. They wanted to get married, and they just did the deed.
On October 2nd, 1989, the beaming couple ties the knot. They know their love is meant to be.
We were excited. I mean, he smiled, joked, he was bubbly, he was happy. My family was excited for Anthony that he had met Toni to complete his life. Once Anthony had made up his mind that he wanted to get married, he had his witnesses, we were ready to go, and we just went out to justice of the peace.
After the wedding, Toni and her daughter move in with Anthony at Fort Bliss. But now, that happy life is ruined, and this marriage has reached a tragic end. Detectives search police records and find a match to the gun's registered owner.
We learned that the gun was owned by an elderly gentleman who lived on the west side of Detroit. He revealed that he had given the gun to his son.
Police question the son, but his story is nothing short of ridiculous.
He told us that he had been jogging in a park that was nearby, and while jogging, the gun slipped down his leg, and he lost it. I found it hard to believe.
Investigators keep pressing him until finally he tells the truth.
We learned that he was a drug user and that he had sold the gun in a drug house. Extremely difficult to go in a drug house and have the people there provide you with any accurate information. So after cajoling them and assuring them that this was an important matter, the individual who was running the drug house told us, yes, the gun did come in there, and he had sold it to another individual in another drug house. So the chain started. From that drug house, we went to a next drug house and pretty much went through the same process.
Officers wonder if these dealers are purposely misleading them. Until the fourth house, when they hear a name that blows this case wide open.
All I know is a dude named Michael Cato.
After following a twisted trail to find the owner of Anthony Riggs' murder weapon, investigators receive shocking news.
The dealer told us that he had given the gun to someone, and he told us that that person was Michael Cato.
Michael Cato is Toni's brother. Is he the shooter? They immediately bring Michael in for questioning.
So tell me about the .38 you found.
I don't know anything to tell you, man. I don't know.
You know nothing about this gun?
No.
Originally, when we picked Michael up, he denied having a gun.
Look, man, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to...
Stand by. Yeah, come on in.
The person who gave him the gun, we brought him into the section to confront Michael.
Yeah. So you still know nothing about this gun?
Look, bro, I'm not taking no bid for you. Tell him I sold you the gun.
And it was then that he admitted, yeah, he had the gun.
Well, I mean, I got the gun, but then I lost it.
You lost it?
I lost it.
That's a coincidence.
Detectives know if they keep pushing, Michael might eventually break. It's obvious he knows more about Anthony's slaying. And investigators are determined to get the answers the family needs.
Did you murder your brother-in-law?
No. I don't know anything about it.
Just 7 months earlier, stationed at Fort Bliss in Texas, Toni and her daughter prepare to say another goodbye to Anthony.
What's this? Oh, thanks.
With her husband being deployed to the Gulf War, Toni wants to take the right steps in order to protect their family.
She wanted more insurance money just in case something happened. She would be taken care of. So my brother, not being a confrontational person or one to argue, he just gave in and said, okay. And just went and did it.
Just right there?
Yeah, just stand right there.
In September of 1990, Anthony deploys to the Middle East. Even though the newlyweds have always withstood the long-distance romance, this time things begin to sour.
We had a phone that we were able to use once a week to call back home.
Where's the money that's supposed to be in the account, Anthony?
In my savings account?
And up and down the halls, you would hear the yelling over the phone.
Listen, the checks bounced.
She was spending all his money that he was making, plus she was dipping into his savings. They thought about her taking care of his car. She wouldn't be checking the oil. She wouldn't be taking care of it. His car was his baby, and she was destroying this thing. What was more remarkable is you could hear her yelling through the phone.
You're supposed to be responsible for us.
It's just incredible, the volume she was using to yell at him. He'd get off these phone calls, and you could tell he was shook.
It feels like Toni has become a complete stranger overnight.
He would write to me, and he would tell me, Mom, you know, she's spending my money. She's not taking care of bills. She's just not doing the things that she needs to do. I'm having to even borrow money from the guys here, and that's not a good thing. There was a war going on, and now he has to fight with his wife outside of that war.
Every time Anthony would talk to her, it would always be, you know, an argument. It was like, I don't think the conversations ever ended with, I love you, I miss you, I'll be so glad when you get home. I think mentally it was taking its toll on him.
Anthony wonders if his marriage will survive this tour of duty.
Here's Anthony trying to be a soldier, risking his life every day in a war zone, and also trying to now maintain this relationship that seems to be going a little bit sideways. And with these phone calls that are causing him a lot of stress, I'm sure it was a very difficult time for him.
When his deployment is up, he heads home to Fort Bliss, determined to make it work.
He was a loving, doting father and wanted to pick up after the war and start a new life with his young family.
But Toni's first words are the last thing Anthony expects to hear.
I want a divorce.
The only reason she was at the airport was to ask for that divorce. She wasn't there to greet him. She was there to tell him off.
Toni!
He's just come home from a war. And, you know, to face that as well, you know, that was pretty devastating. That's pretty horrible for him.
Toni wants to move out of the couple's home. She's found an apartment outside Detroit. Although things are rocky, Anthony agrees to drive from Texas to Detroit with Toni and her brother Michael. There he'll help Toni move into a new home in the suburbs.
He wanted to make it work, and if it wasn't going to work, he was going to do everything he could to do it. He felt he was responsible. It was his family. It was his wife. If she wanted to move, he'd help her. If that's what she wanted, if that would make her happy, he was going to do what he needed to do to make her happy. And I think he did that because he hoped it would all work out in the end. Maybe she just needed some time. Maybe she needed some space. But in the end, they'd work it all out.
Anthony would see a situation and say, nope, that's like giving up. That's like, you know, throwing in the towel. And Anthony wasn't one to just walk away and give up. He would walk in concrete boots if he had to, just to make sure that he did all that he could do to make the situation right.
But he never gets that chance.
So you ready to tell me about this 38?
During Michael Cato's second round of questioning, he claims he is ready to talk. And the truth is devastating. Michael 𝐀𝐻𝐿 is the #1 suspect in the death of his brother-in-law, Anthony Riggs.
They eventually got a statement out of him confessing to the crime and implicating Toni Cato Riggs.
Look, Toni said that she hoped he would die in the war. But if he didn't, then we were gonna have to take care of it when he got home.
He told us that his sister wanted it done and that she was going to get the insurance money and they were going to split it.
She said that if he died, that we were gonna get $200,000.
8 days after Anthony's murder, Michael is charged with the crime and held without bond. Now police turn their attention to Toni. Is the tearful widow, who had the sympathy of the entire city, actually the mastermind behind her husband's murder?
All right, let's make this easy. We have the weapon. You had your brother kill your husband.
No, I didn't.
She claimed that she didn't know why her brother was saying this. In fact, she even suggested at one point in time that he was doing it for one of his junkie friends.
My brother's crazy.
How much did you promise him?
I didn't promise him anything.
But it seems everyone can see straight through her story.
I think there was not a person in Detroit who didn't feel that she was responsible for this.
And you got the insurance money.
I'm sure that it wouldn't have been safe for her to walk the streets. That's just how much hatred that was directed toward her.
Detectives dig into her past and find out she's anything but an honest wife.
Toni was still married to her first husband at the same time that she was in Las Vegas to marry Anthony.
We're getting separated.
I'm here if you need me.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Did you love your husband?
Yes, I did.
We have a motive, we have the shooter, and we did write a warrant charging her with first-degree murder.
But suddenly, everything comes to a screeching halt.
I don't know what you're talking about. I wouldn't do something like this.
Without enough evidence tying her to the crime, Toni is released.
Paperwork didn't go through.
A free woman. And as for Anthony's insurance money...
At first, we thought because she had been married to another man when she married Anthony that she would not be eligible to get the life insurance benefits. But the judge ruled that she did deserve to get them. And so she got all the money. People were furious.
As Toni remains free, Michael 𝐀𝐻𝐿 is convicted of Anthony's murder and sentenced to life in prison. 2 years pass as Detroit police try to prove Toni is the mastermind behind Anthony's murder, until a phone call from the DEA changes everything.
The feds were conducting this massive nationwide drug investigation. And down in Texas, there were 2 people that they picked up who were involved with carrying drugs or buying the drugs. And they told them that one of their helpers was Toni Riggs. Can you imagine?
So they contacted the Detroit Police Department to find out whether she was still a suspect, and he told them that she was.
If they can bust her for drugs, authorities can arrest Toni, buying them more time to build their murder case against her. Two years after the murder, federal agents working undercover set up a meeting with Toni in a Detroit office.
Toni Riggs shows up, and the drug dealers in the room, who are actually undercover DEA agents, are interviewing her essentially for a position with their organization.
Toni wants in. She's out of money and will do whatever it takes to get involved.
And they were saying, well, we don't know whether we can trust you. You haven't done anything to make us think that you're a criminal.
To step up her street credibility, Toni makes a shocking confession.
She said, I'm the one who plotted my husband's death.
They ended up arresting her. And not only charging her in the drug case, but finally reinstating the murder charges against her.
Toni grew up on the rough streets of Detroit. Toni was exposed to criminal activity her whole life. Toni didn't think she had to follow the rules because maybe a lot of people around her didn't follow the rules. She wasn't about getting a normal job, following all the rules, saving her money, building for a future. She was about instant gratification any way she could get it.
The city of Detroit and the nation now know exactly who she is.
All those feelings from 2 years earlier were reignited in people. And there was, this sense in the community that, man, they got her. They got Toni Riggs.
If you could slap one character for their dumb decisions, who would it be? Huh? Go on. Vent in the comments. I can't wait to read.
For Anthony's family, the news is long overdue.
I was just overjoyed. Justice had been served here. Just what I had asked for, it had been granted.
I was so happy I cried. I broke down and cried.
At the trial, prosecutors argue Toni saw Anthony as a meal ticket.
She was just using him for a money man, cashing his paychecks and spending any savings that he had.
Her motive was money. She was a conniving woman who really couldn't love, who really couldn't attach. And so his life was of no value to her.
Toni claims she's innocent, but prosecutors argue Anthony's killing was calculated.
Toni and her brother had been discussing the possibility of killing Anthony for a long period of time.
Did she file for divorce knowing Anthony would do anything to save his marriage, including driving her back to Detroit?
That may have been the reason why she wanted to find a house in Detroit.
Detroit is the murder capital of America.
Because they had to bring him to Detroit to commit this crime.
We'll just make it look like some petty crime.
She had Anthony carry some of the boxes out to the car to load them.
How does one woman and one little girl need so much stuff?
Be honest. Did you watch the last scene through your fingers? Comment yes or no.
Michael had secreted himself someplace near the car. Toni was in the house packing boxes, and that's when the shooting took place.
Michael took off in the car that belonged to Anthony, filled with his belongings, and just ditched it a couple miles away.
A jury convicts Toni of first-degree murder. She is sentenced to life in prison. Although many years have passed, Anthony's friends and family still mourn their fallen hero.
I often wonder, what would he be like? I know he would be the same Anthony that he always was, that loving, caring, funny guy that's always trying to appease someone.
Anthony would tell me, like, Gina, if you don't try it, you never know if you can do it or not. It doesn't matter if you fail. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go for it again.
To have a son like Anthony, I really thank the Lord for a son like that.
You come back to me, you hear me?
He died serving mankind. He loved. He just loved.